In this tutorial, we are going to be looking at creating a platform game. Now, I know there's so many Godot platform games out there. I've done a little bit more of a complex platform tutorial previously, which I didn't really complete. This one's more going to be a simple kind of platformer like you might find on Sega Mega Drive, Sega Master System, Nintendo, something like that. And this is ideally going to be for my students. So feel free to follow along though. This is all using Godot, and I'm going to be using an asset pack. It is this one here on itch.io. If you look up Pixel Art Metroidvania asset pack, it is this one here. It's a pretty nice one. There are some pretty decent ones on this page, and I just saw something. See, this one has a lot of cool things in it, like traps and spikes and all kinds of stuff that we can work with. It also has a pretty decent character and a whole bunch of little enemies as well. So we'll work on this one here, and in this video we're going to look at creating the character controller. So with that downloaded, I've already got it downloaded and unzipped somewhere. I'm going to create a new project. I'll put this into here, and I don't have a Godot folder, so let's make a new one and select that folder, and I'll just call it platformer tutorial Y11. That's because it's for year 11. It doesn't really matter which one of these you pick. OpenGL ES 3.0 is generally better. You can do better lighting stuff on it, but it mainly only affects 3D. And on the school computers, just be aware that if you use this one, sometimes it can go glitchy. I've never seen it do it with 2D, only 3D. So we'll go create and edit. All right, hopefully I've got to remember that my little thing is down here, and there shouldn't be too much down there. But if there is, I will swap some of this stuff around and make it so you can see it. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is create the player character. And so I'm going to create a new 2D scene, but I'm going to be using other node actually, and I'm going to look for a kinematic body 2D. So I'm going to grab that kinematic body 2D, and I want to rename this. So if this, for year 11 actually, this is going to be the first introduction they have to Godot. What we want to look at here is these nodes. So everything in Godot is made up from a series of nodes. And the kinematic body 2D it's a physics object, but it doesn't react like a normal physics object would. So it doesn't fall unless you actually code it to fall, but it will interact with other physics objects, and it can interact with rigid bodies, other kinematic bodies, static bodies, the different types of physics objects that are in the game. So if I look at the kind of not tutorial that I'll be working from, but I'm going to be looking at this code a little bit. If I look at this player and open up this scene here, I can see that I won't be doing anything this complex. This player is the kinematic body, and it has a few colliders on it. It has a sprite, an animation player, another collider there, and then some ray casts as well. The main reason I'm going to be looking at this code is I haven't used Godot for a couple of weeks now and a little bit rusty. But this exclamation mark is telling us something. So if I mouse over it, it's saying that this node has no shape, so it can't collide or interact with other objects at a collision shape. So to add a collision shape, I'm going to click the plus button, and I'm going to type in collision shape and click create. So again, this is now giving me a warning. A shape must be provided for collision shape 2D to function. Create a shape resource for it. So over here on the right hand side in the inspector, you'll see that there's an option called shape, and you can select a shape. So I'm actually going to select a rectangle shape here, and that's going to put that up here. I'll zoom in on it because we don't want to make things too big. So that's our rectangle shape there. Now I want to get a sprite. So I'm going to add in a sprite. Things are generally called what they are. Now I need to check, is this going to be a platform Metroidvania? Let's have a look at it here. Hero sprites. It looks like they are maybe GIF files, which is okay, that's good. So we're going to use an animated sprite for this one. What you would do if you had a big tile set, and in fact, if this has a tile set, I would rather use it. So let's have a look. Where did that go? I closed it off. Let's just bring that back up. If this has a complete tile set, I will use that instead. It does have a complete tile set, so I think we're going to use that one. Except that's going to be a problem in there. The attack animation. It's kind of too big for the rest of them. All of the others are all good, and then this attack animation is just a bit funny. But we'll figure something out with that. We'll probably make that as a separate object, I think, rather than part of the character. Okay, so I'm actually going to use what I said I was going to use, which is a sprite, and click create. Now I need to bring those things into my project, and I just closed it again. Oh no, I didn't. I've got it there. Great. All right, so I'll need that in a second. So down here, this is the resource panel, your file system, and I'm going to create a new folder. I'm going to call this one sprites. I'm going to create a new folder and call it scenes, and a new folder and call it scripts. Now, sometimes I may put scripts in the scenes folder. These scripts are going to be for like a character controller, something else that we use later. I'm going to keep everything that's in the scene kind of together. So we're going to go ahead and import this sprite, and I'm going to drag it into the sprites folder. You'll see it went into scenes for some reason, so I'm just going to drag that down to sprites. There's my sprite. If I drag it in, you'll see that it's quite blurry. I'm just going to ignore that up here. I'll delete it in a sec. You'll see it's very blurry. What I need to do is go to import, change the preset to 2D pixel, and then I'll set the default for that, and then re-import it. Okay, that's nice and crisp and looks good. So I will delete that from the scene. I'll go back to here, delete that. And on the sprite, over here for the texture, I'm going to grab that and drag it up to there. Now, hopefully, I'm not sure what that thing is. I think that's the death animation. What I want to do here is set up my tile set. So I'm going to go ahead, and in this video, we may only get through setting up some of the animations in here before we actually do any of the coding. So I'm going to set the animation. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 H frames. So I'll put that in there as 8. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 vertical frames. So I'll put that in as 15. And now we see just the sprite all by itself. Now I can switch between frames here, so I just want to get it to the main character frame, and then I'm going to go back to that collision shape and make it, and I'll change this at the top here. View, no, there is a snap option. This bit here, use pixel snap. I want it to snap to the pixels. I don't really want to use grid snap, but I will for the first bit. And what's this one here? Use smart snap. I'm not sure if that's any good. Okay. So, and I'll move that so it's aligned. If I turn that smart snap off, it should be good. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's pretty good there. I'm actually going to make it just so it's kind of more his body, but I do want to get the feet there. If I don't like the order that these are in, and I don't because I actually want to be able to see where that collision is for now, I can just raise it above it. So whatever is at the top in the list here is actually behind. It kind of draws from the top down, but I can turn any of these off at any time. Next thing we're going to add in is the animation player. So I'm going to add this animation player in here. It's going to be a child of the player. Make sure it's not a child of the body or anything like that. And then selecting it, I'm going to get down here and click on animation, create new, and I'm going to make an idle animation. So this idle animation, it's going to default at 1 second, and it's going to have a snap of 0.1 seconds, which means there's going to be roughly 10 frames in this animation, but we only need 4. So I'm going to change this to 0.4. I'll zoom in on this track a little bit. And I'll get it just so it shows 4 frames. There we go. 0, 1, 2, 3. So there's going to be 4 frames here. This is a little bit annoying. I wish there was a different way to do this. What is this? I have no idea what that is. And I wish there was a better way to do this part, but that's just how it is. I wish there was like frame 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. and then just do it. It's mainly because the animation player is also used with 3D, and so you would use timings there rather than frames. But that's all good. So we're going to go ahead and click on the sprite. And I think frame 40 is the start of my idle animation. Should be the start of yours. And I'm going to click here and add in a keyframe. Now it's going to say, create a new property, please confirm, and click create. Now that's all good. Then what we need to do is move this 1 frame forward. And for some reason, this is really annoying. And then I have to move it 1 frame back. And I can just click this plus button again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it increases each time. So now if I play this, I'm going to click the loop button here on the end, and I'm going to click the play. So there there's our idle animation. So now I'm going to create a new animation, and we'll say running. And this animation, we're going to go all the way back to frame, I'm not sure what the start of the running animation is. I think it's this one. So running, and this is going to be the first frame of this one. Create, and I'll just click there again, and then click through on this. I'm not sure how many running. There we go. There's 6 of them. So I'm going to change that to 0.6 and make that loop and hit play. So there's our running animation. Now I do have the names of all these animations, so I can see what the other one's called, and they're actually in this sprite here. This has individual strips. It has GIFs, which Godot does not support. It would be amazing to just drop a GIF in and it splits it up into the different frames, but it doesn't. So we've got the, which is the one where it's like running. Oh, that's pushing. Okay, pushing. We may as well use that one because we may add some simple physics in there. So let's go ahead and type pushing. It's also 6 frames long, so I'll set 0.6. We'll go back to the first frame and we'll find the pushing. There it is. So frame 16, click create and click back here again, just so it resets that or to 16, or you can click down and then hit that keyframe button a few times. It'll automatically add on. Hit the looping animation. There we go. He's huffing and puffing as he pushes. We're going to have a new animation here. New. It's going to be jump. I'll call it jump. We'll call the other one fall. This is only going to be 3 frames, so 0.3. And I'll go back to the start here. Let's find the jump animation. I think it's here somewhere. That's the fall one. The jump one is 56, so we'll key that. And then do that, and then we'll create a new one. That one is not going to be, actually, let's just see what it looks like looped. Yeah, that's fine, looped. Cool, we'll loop that one. We'll create a new one called fall. And this is going to be 0.3 long as well. And this was the previous one, which is frame 48. So we'll send that back to there, keyframe it. If anyone knows how to fix that, where you keyframe it, it asks you, but it doesn't move on, let me know, because it's kind of annoying. Because it'd be nice to just be able to go boom, 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 spam it in there. Maybe get rid of the confirmation somehow. I'm not sure. But there's the fall one done. And there are a few others. What are the other ones that we need? We need... oh, I see. That's before and after jump. I'm going to leave those ones for now. Because I'm not too worried about it. So that's before he jumps and after he lands. We want to have we've got the run, we've got the push. What is that one? Oh, that's the attack. Okay, we actually want that attack, not this attack. So let's go ahead and add in attack. And go back to here, we'll click on the sprite if we haven't. And it looks like frame 24 is the first one. So frame 24. There's 4 sprites there, so we'll change that to 0.4. We're not going to make this one loop. It's just going to be a playthrough once. Oops. Pretty sure that's how it works. Yep. We may end up speeding that one up a little bit later, but these should be nearly all of them. The last one that we want is going to be roll. Oops. Animation, new, roll. And I'll click on the sprite, and we're just going to go ahead and find the, ooh, I didn't mean to do that, it should be 15, the frame, that is the roll, it's this one, there's only 3 for that one, and so I'll change that to 0.3, make it loop, just see what it looks like. It kind of looks like a rolling animation, I suppose. And that's all good. Now we're going to save this, because I haven't actually done any saving yet. I'm going to save this, Control S, I'm going to save it into scenes as player.tscn and click save. Now what this means is we can use this player in a different scene. So we've got our basic player controller here. We've got a sprite, we've got a body collider with it. That body collider, I don't really like where that is. We may have to have another collider for when it rolls, because it seems to, you know, that the sprite is too high for the rest of it. But for all the others, I'm pretty sure it's all good. So attack, yeah, he's on his feet there. Fall, that's fine. Idle, yep. Jump, yep. Pushing, yep. And then roll, he decides, oh, he's gonna move up there. Running, so good. We may not use roll, we'll see. We'll get the basics done first. We may end up having a separate collider for rolling, just so that it doesn't, so it actually can roll through small gaps. We'll have a look at that later on. But we're gonna make a very simple bit of code now. And this simple bit of code is going to be up here, and we're going to hit the plus button. We're going to call it player, which is going to be put into the scenes folder. So I'm not going to change this, because every time we add a new script, I'm going to have to change it to the scripts folder. I don't want to do that. I just want to keep it in here. So this here is going to be pretty much all the default, except for this. We want it to say no comments, because they're kind of annoying. So click on create. And then it gives us a very simple bit of code. In this bit here, we are going to, when it turns on, and we'll test this in a minute, we're going to test the code. So what we can do here is we can refer to any of these bits of, any of these nodes with some special notation in Godot, the $, and then the name of the node. So we actually want to make it play a particular animation when it starts. So $animation player dot play, and then we'll make it play the idle animation. So when it's ready, this is going to play the idle animation. If you want to know what a node can do, you can hold Control and click on it, and it will bring up the help. And you can see what it can do here. So we've got, these are the properties, and then these are the methods. So properties are generally not read-only, because you can set them, but it will hold values such as what the current animation is. Is it set to autoplay? What's the playback speed? Whereas methods are things that do things, such as play. There is a, oh, here we go, play backwards. Check if something is playing. Does this sprite have an animation? It's quite complex. We're pretty much only going to use play, and maybe is playing as well, and also stop. You can queue up animation, so you can kind of have one transition into the other. And there is a whole animation tree that's really cool. So let's just test this out. We're going to click this button up here, and it'll be really tiny up in the corner. Well, there he is, and he is doing just an idle animation. You might not even be able to see that if the compression on this video is really bad. The reason he's up there and not right in the center is because that's where we made him. So let's go ahead and make a new scene, And this one is just going to be called 2D scene. I'm going to change this to world. And we're going to bring our player into here. So in the scene panel down here, sorry, in the file system, grab the player, drag it onto the world. It's up there. But you can drag that around now. So if we drag it into the middle and then test the world, it's going to ask us to save it. I will just save it as world in the scenes folder. And you can see that our player is there. He's got the idle animation. It's pretty small. I'm actually going to keep it at this size because we're going to create like a one-screen platformer. And if you haven't played one of those before, there's a few of them that are out there. There's one on Steam just called One Screen Platformer, which was inspired by Castles. I can't remember what it's called. I've got them installed on the computer somewhere here. There was two old, probably 6-7 years old now, games that were like a single screen puzzle platformer that was focused on speed running and stuff. So we're going to make something like that using the objects in this pack. And in the next video, we'll look at creating the code to move this little guy around.